Way back in the year 2015, a game was released upon the world to much anticipation. A game that pitted 4 hunters against 1 monster. A game about tactics, brutality, and stealth. A game that forced cooperation or relished in a disorganized team. That game was Evolve, and I sincerely miss it. Greetings, Legionnaires! For some odd reason, Evolve has been on my mind a lot lately. It was a truly special experience for me, and I wanted to just take a few minutes and talk about why. So, let's get to it. I remember the first time I saw the Game Informer cover of the title and being intrigued at the sight of the Goliath, one of the 3 playable monsters at launch. There was a certain aesthetic charm to him and the rest of the characters on offer that made it feel distinct. The group behind the madness, Turtle Rock Studios, was one I had been rather familiar with for many years. They had been the same group that had offered up many late nights playing Left 4 Dead's 1 and 2 with my pals via LAN connection. Back in those days, we would even rent the game from Blockbuster, so suffice it to say it was a while back. Very much like the Evolve beta, which I was able to play with some friends in person, Left 4 Dead struck this ominous chord with me. Each mission, while eventually very familiar, never played out in quite the same way. Victories were typically harrowing affairs that led to unforgettable moments, shouting in equal parts joy and relief. Evolve somehow managed to recapture a bit of that essence when it first sprung onto the scene, except this time, instead of some malevolent game director spawning hordes of undead, it was a human-controlled evolving monster who sought to survive long enough to tangle with these well-armed trackers. Asynchronous multiplayer wasn't a brand new mechanic by any means. Let's face it, we've all played those super fun 3 vs 1 minigames in Mario Party. But for the first time, it was presented as the cornerstone of a game. Either team up as one of 4 distinct hunter classes, or go it alone as a cautious beast looking to become an alpha predator. I discussed art design a little before, but the first 3 monsters in particular look incredible to me, with each of them filling out a certain fantasy archetype. Goliath acted as more of a warrior, Kraken was your mage, and Wraith the cunning rogue. All of them starting off rather weak, but quietly accumulating power to take on their pursuers. Each specific design is so memorable to me and really required knowledge of your quarry to bring it down. On top of all that, no 2 monsters would play the same. There was always this sense, early on in matches, that when a hunter and monster came face to face, they'd both scream trying to decide what to do. Perhaps the monster would immediately flee, or try to eliminate a hunter who strayed too far from the group. If you were a hunter, you would most likely yell at your team trying to get a restrictive dome down around the area, forcing a fight. The cat and mouse dynamic that shifted throughout a match was exhilarating, and forced you to be invested in every moment. While playing as the monster could be very fun, I found most enjoyment acting as one of the cartoony-looking hunters, tasked with killing these beasts. Trappers were best at limiting the monster's mobility, assault would shred through a monster's health and armor, support would provide advantages to the team, and the medic would keep a group in the fight. Getting a hunting party together where certain individuals would favor specific classes made the thrill of the hunt much more tactical. I preferred the Trapper because there was something so intrinsically fun to me about stopping a hulking monstrosity dead in its tracks. Even among the classes provided, the individuals in each played differently enough that finding cool combinations of teams lent itself to being part of the fun. Discovering synergies with a support that could afford more damage and an assault class who wielded a weapon that could put out constant damage, like a flamethrower, led to Power Ranger-esque team-up moments. This made coordination a key to success. Certain medics could be more assault-focused, or could even resurrect people from the dead, leading the monster thinking it might be doing better than it actually was. Chatting with my buds to figure out fun combos helped the game take on a life of its own outside of the actual play sessions. It's been over 5 years since Evolve lumbered onto the scene, but I do think back to it often. When playing games like Deep Rock Galactic, or my newer love in that of Monster Hunter World, I get this itch to play a game that, to me, felt wholly distinct. It wasn't without its faults, however. Some of the first information that was acquired about the game was its DLC strategy, including hunters and monsters that would cost additional money. While maps would still be free, the potentially game-breaking new fighters in the fray were not. My heart goes out to the team a little because attempting to balance a game like this one must have been incredibly challenging. The interesting thing is that the asymmetrical model has proven successful in other games to a certain extent. Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th act as more direct comparisons, while Among Us is an incredibly popular yet simple take on the formula. If Evolve had initially launched as a free-to-play title a few years later, I really do think it would have been much more successful. While I still do lament the loss and decline of its player base, shuttering of its servers, and absence from the current pop culture pool, I'll always have fond memories of falling from the dropship to hunt yet another monster. Thank you so much, Legionnaires, for indulging me today while I kind of reminisce about this title that sticks around in the back of my brain to this day. I would really love to hear if anybody watching this actually had experience with the game. Just leave it in the comments and tell me, like, maybe your favorite hunter, favorite monster, whatever else. Or if you've never played it before and you're like, wow, that looks really cool. I'd love to hear kind of like what your thoughts are. Maybe it would do better today. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. But either way, it's just something that's kind of near and dear to my heart because it was the very first video we ever did for this channel. So if you want to go back and check that out over here, then you can hopefully see how far I've come. So please, you can go check that out if you want to. Either way, I appreciate you being here today, and a huge thank you to all of our patrons who make these videos possible. Until next time, Legionnaires, just remember to adapt and overcome.